Hi, this is 365801 and this is a little reading vlog. So I have been planning to read the full series, the With or Without series by JL Langley, since I got the final volume, and I just haven't sat down and done it. So we're gonna attempt to do that, even if it takes a few weeks to do. It's fine. I'm gonna take this with me. I'm about to go down to visit some family, and so I'm gonna be traveling a wee bit. The weather is apparently going to be awful, so I thought it'd be just as well to take something with me to read, because I won't always have service. There's not always internet or any kind of mobile service when you're traveling, sometimes in the Highlands in Scotland. So that's what I'm going to take with me. We're going to do this. It's been a while since I read this one. I did purchase this when it came out. So this is the Dream Spinner one. And then, of course, it kind of got dropped. But then she independently published the rest, which is great. So yeah, or it moved to a different publisher. So yeah, I'm glad I've got this. I'm looking forward to it. I have read this before. It's one of the first ones I read, a male romance. It's probably problematic. I think it is. But we're going to read it anyway. So yeah, I've got everything packed. I've got snacks for the journey. I've got some snacks in here. A roll and sausage. I've got my little notebook, and I've got my headphones for listening to an audiobook if I want, so that I can rest my eyes if I need to, and probably have a snooze. But yeah, we'll see what the weather's like, but I think it's supposed to be pretty dire. So I'm going to get my big coat on and start the journey.
Hi, so I am filming in an odd place. I'm at my master socket. I just got back up the road about an hour, maybe 2 hours. I got in the door, I've done everything. I think I've got like every light in the house on. I've got something cooking for dinner, it's going to be delicious. I've got pajamas on, I've got everything, and I took the bins out. Man, I was productive. I felt really energized and everything. Like, woo, I'm gonna do stuff. And then I noticed my internet wasn't working. So I did have this plugged in. It's not plugged in at the moment, but the red light of death for internet was on. So that means I've got no internet. I have had a problem like this before, about 6 months ago, and I had to get the engineer out. Hopefully that's not the case and I can fix it tomorrow morning. But if not, well, I'll have to just hopefully deal with it. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. Anyway, to continue with this, because I didn't actually continue with it. So I did technically start it about, I don't know, I didn't get very far in. And then I was busy. I was busy with family and stuff. So I'm going to properly restart it in the new year. And it's going to be a new year read rather than the end of year read. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is Che and Keaton's story. It's Native American veterinarian who's a werewolf. And he has always wanted his mate. And then Keaton, who is a wolf, turns up, but he's not supposed to be because only men are wolves, and Che has apparently never had a relationship with a man, apparently. So, I don't know, did he? I'm trying to remember if he did. Like, did he fool around with... I don't know if that's this book or another book. Did he fool around with someone at university? Maybe that's another book. Because I remember him being like, whoa. Anyway, we're going to give it a go. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to actually reading this. So yeah, that's what I'm going to read now. Properly, let's get it started. Because if I have no internet, I may as well read the books I own. Fingers crossed I get it sorted tomorrow morning. But we'll see. I've got a nice dinner to eat. And it's nice to be home. I'm glad I'm home. It's good to be back in the house. I do want to tidy up and do a bit of spring cleaning, but I also am very happy that I put my Christmas decorations away before we travelled down, because I've just come in and my house is fine. I don't have to put anything away. It's already done. So I'm like, so I can literally just go to bed and read this after dinner. And that's probably what I'm going to do. So yeah, I'll check in with you later. So I just got back from the shops, although the post office was closed, so it kind of felt like a wasted journey. Anyway, it's lunchtime. It's time for some food. So I've got a sandwich with some ham and cheese and cucumber and a wee mince pie and a cup of coffee. And I did finish this last night. Maybe it was just very early into the morning, like midnight, but I did finish this all the way. And it was good. I remember being, when like the very first time I read it, I was like, oh, and then the revelation was like, oh, and then you went back and you were like, oh, of course, they were mentioning this character all the time, so of course it was that character that was doing it, oh, which was always fun. And there was, as you can see here, a little excerpt, the very first, after the epilogue, there's a little excerpt of With Caution, which is the book 2 one, and that is Remy's story with Jake, which I've got here. So I'll be starting this one today. Well, I technically have already started it because I read the little excerpt. So it's different. You can see the difference in the printing style, because this is Yellow Rose Publishing, whatever Yellow Rose is. And this is from 2020, but copyright 2011, which seems odd because this was first published in 2006, was it? This is the Dream Spinner one, obviously. So yeah, 2006 by Samhain Publishing. So I'd like to check if Samhain Publishing did this. I'm assuming they did. And when they published it. I don't think it says. It just says copyright. And then 2011. So I wonder if she got her copyright back in 2011. And that's when, from Samhain. I don't know how it worked back in the day. But yeah, it's a little bit different because it's a different publisher. Although they obviously used the same artwork on the front. It seems very much in keeping. And the third book as well. So maybe JL Langley commissioned and paid for the artwork herself. So yeah, it's a bit thicker. It feels like it. So if we look at page count, 189. Yeah, 190. So there's 190 pages, whereas this one was like 170 something. And you can tell it's like the difference in the... It's a slight difference. So yeah, but seeing as my internet is still off, I'm probably going to get some reading done, which is, well, you know, it is what it is. I wanted to read these anyway, so I'm glad I'm doing it. When I was at the shops, I popped into a charity shop and I got a calendar because I want to take some photographs of like my monthly TBRs and things, and I've been looking for just a small plain calendar without photos, and there were hardly any. And even in the charity shop there was ones that had pictures of cats, and I'm sure everyone loves cats, but it's not what I was after. And I'm not a huge fan of butterflies either, but at least it wasn't a photograph of a cat or a dog or a sheep or whatever it was. I just didn't want one. So yeah, I got one. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. And it was only 50p, so I'm fine about that. So yeah, that's good. So I'm going to have this. I'm going to start with caution again. Remy's story. It does start, the first chapter, very much with this dream sequence of Remy and someone obviously having some sort of sexual intercourse as a dream, and then he wakes up and it's his brother Sterling who's desperately wanting him to come and collect him from the house because of their father Dirk. And then he ends up going to a breakfast diner and bumping into Jacob as well. But he does seem to have a lot of worry and stress over Sterling, and I do love Sterling as a character. He's great, the younger brother of Remy. And Jake just coming in and swooping in and saving him from having his eyes go again. I do like that, that Remy is now having to deal with all of the troubles of having werewolf powers that he's not used to, which is really good. Anyway, with reservations, great, loved it. Very short and sweet. And as I've said, probably would not get published today in the same way as it has been. But I kind of like and dislike at the same time that there is the Indigenous peoples. If JL Langley herself is not Indigenous, there is a little bit of a but at the same time it's quite nice that there is Indigenous peoples being represented. I just think it does kind of smack a little bit of Twilight. Like, I just feel uncomfortable. Like, when I watched Twilight, I never read the books, but when I watched it, it was that whole, wait a minute, the Indigenous peoples are the werewolves? Huh. I'm not sure how I feel about that, or maybe I am sure and I'm not happy. I don't know. But yeah, but I'm happy to be reading this. I will carry on and have something to eat. So this just arrived in the post, and it's from Blackwell's. I didn't mean to, but I did need to order some things. And it's just the one. So I think I've got something else coming. Ooh! Twittering Birds Never Fly. Volume 7. So I got to chapter 11. It's a bit later. I did end up falling asleep. I think it was the cheese. I had cheese. made me fall asleep. So I had a wee snooze. It's a Saturday, it's fine. I can have a snooze. But then I started reading my book again, and I realised when I got to chapter 11, it was the end of a key scene. And the key scene, and it was kind of interesting. So I'm all the way through this. So I'm at page 92. So I'm almost at the 100-page mark of like a 200-page book. So I'm halfway. And halfway through is an absolutely key scene. And I distinctly remember how it went. And also there was a couple of other scenes and I thought, oh, they read and I enjoyed them, but they kind of lacked something that I remember very clearly about this book, which was something that I had never read before, which was this whole submission, this dom-sub thing. And that seems like it's been scrubbed from this book. Up to this point, I was like, oh, hold on, there's been more references to doms and subs and yes sir and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't seem like it was there. And there was a couple of scenes and I was like, oh, that kind of wasn't as hot. It wasn't as hot as I remember it being. I remember it being very much like a struggle for Remy, the main character, to come to terms with how he was feeling and how things were going. And so when the whole Omega thing came about in this chapter 10, it kind of came out of nowhere because there's been this lack of it in the dom sub sort of build up, and also there's a very clear thing that was missing from the scene, and that was that in the original story that I read, Jake has to claim Remy as his own Omega, and he can become an alpha of a new pack. And they have to do this because otherwise other wolves are going to try and claim Remy. It's very like, you know, old-fashioned romance, gay romance type thing. And you know what? That's okay. I'm okay with that. It's not to everyone's taste, but sometimes that's what you want. And I did remember thinking, oof, this is quite traumatic in some respects for Remy, even more so that he has to get his head around this. But this seems to be scrubbed from the book in some respects. There's certain things taken out. And in this particular chapter here, there's a whole like section of 2 or 3 pages because, you know, it's very clear that when Jake is talking to John Carter, the alpha of their pack, about how he's supposed to claim him. It says here he was like, I have to bite him, and John nodded, but right now you have to defend him. This is changed from the original. It was you have to claim him sexually, he has to submit to you. And then when he is there, he has to submit sexually, so they have sex in this clearing in the wood right next to, you know, while other people are fighting around them. It was quite a like, oof, this is a scene. But in this one, all he does is bite him in the neck. That's it. That was all. It was like, hold on, what? And I felt for a second like, had I misremembered that? Have I been, you know, like gaslighting myself? Did I misread all these years what happened? I was pretty sure that was the case. But no, I checked. I checked online. I was like, is this being rewritten? And it has. Certain sentences have been changed slightly. There's different sentence structures. Sometimes it's been an extra full stop, or it's a run-on sentence instead. You know, it's different things. So it's been edited slightly differently if JL Langley has done that. But she's also removed a lot of dom sub stuff that was in this original book, which I'm a little bit disappointed in, because I do feel like I've been reading this kind of going, this isn't quite as emotionally impactful or hard-hitting or difficult for me to get through, because I'm not a big fan of dom sub stuff. But I really enjoyed this book, but it also was like really like, ooh, this is hard for me to go through, and I'm okay with that because I've read it already. So reading it now is like slightly washed out version of it, and I'm a little bit like, oh, that's a shame. But it does make me want to, because I'm really happy to get this. I'm really happy that I own this. But it does make me want to check how much it would be to buy a secondhand copy of the original, because now that these are available, the price of them has gone down significantly. Like, they used to be over 100, like with Abandon was like 200, almost £300 for a secondhand copy, and now I think you can get them for like £5. So I think I'll see if I can invest in another copy of this book that has the original, even though it's not really supporting JL Langley. This did though, so I'm happy about that. So yeah, this I needed to stop. I needed to come out my little cootie, warm sort of like a hole that I was in with blankets and keeping myself warm and reading, and check to see if this is a different book. And in a way, it is. It's a different book, and I just have to think about it like that. And maybe that was something that she felt more comfortable doing nowadays, because, you know, having dom sub stuff in a book maybe isn't quite right, or maybe she got criticism. I don't know, but I like the original book, and I like that that's how it went, even though at the time I remember being very shocked by it. I'm fine with this as it is, but I do think in my mind I need to think of them as two separate books, because there is a definite lack of spice. It's just the spice level's gone down a notch. Just buy one spicy chili, it's not as spicy, it's not as chilly. So yeah, I do still enjoy it though. It's still got the same beats in the story, still everything is pretty similar. But yeah, just slightly different, just ever so slightly. And that was a big key scene, so I'm glad that I checked, because I really did feel like hold on, did I gaslight myself? Have I just misremembered? Oh my god, you know. But are there other things in my life that I haven't remembered or have been remembering wrong? So yeah, it needed to happen. So yeah, I'm at page 96. So yeah, I'm halfway through the book, and I do like Reese and Sterling, their little story. So I remember what's happening. So hopefully it's going to be okay, with nothing too different this time as well. I do feel like that's something else that's maybe changed, because when they first met, it kind of makes me want to read the older book. I don't know. So yeah, I definitely think I'm going to try and see if I can invest in another copy. Maybe, you know, if it's £5 or less, I might just have to. So yeah, this is interesting. It's definitely a slightly different book than the original that I read. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's probably, like I mentioned with, if I get this out, I mentioned with the out reservations that there were definitely, I'm not entirely sure if it would be the kind of book that would get published now. So maybe she did edit this one too. So now I want to go through on like a fine-tooth comb editor and check line by line which ones were different, because that's the kind of weirdo that I am. But this one I already did for that scene. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's the same, but that's different. That's the same and that's different. This is all gone. This is different. This has been added. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm going to have something to eat, but maybe just a cup of tea and a biscuit. I was thinking maybe some noodles. Some nudes, but I'm thinking maybe just a cup of tea and a biscuit, and then back to bed and try and get some sleep. I've already had a snooze, so I don't know when I'm going to fall asleep. But yeah, that needed to be checked. Oof, that needed to be checked. So I have just finished filming a haul video. So I'm on the bed. I finished this last night, or early doors in the morning. Yes, it has been edited very much so to remove all of the dom sub element to it, which means I definitely would like to pick up the original book, which I think I can get for like £4 or £5, just because it's nice to have that compare and contrast, but not because I dislike this. I think this is a really serviceable, easy read, and it definitely has removed those elements, and so it does make it more palatable. But sometimes you don't want more palatable. Sometimes you want a bit of discomfort in reading. And maybe it did make people uncomfortable with the fact that one of the characters had endured a lot of abuse by their father, and then was going into a relationship of dom sub dom, and did not have the knowledge or background, had never experienced that, was also in going into a homosexual relationship that they, in their own mind, had never done before, even though it turned out perhaps they had. I don't want to go into the spoilers too much about this, but it has been interesting to read this particular volume for Yellow Rose Publishing, and I don't know if JL Langley did this for Yellow Rose Publishing, or if she just did this for herself, or if she did it for people who were like, this was distasteful or this was incorrect. And I did check, and it was originally published in 2007, and then this one, she must have got the rights back in 2011 for her own copyright, and then this, or maybe she got it before and it was published here. So when did this get published? 2020. So there you go, 2020, but she got copyright in April 2011, but it was originally published in 2007 by Samhain Publishing. So yeah, so I don't know what the story is, but this is quite a beloved story by a lot of readers, and so I don't know anyone else who read this version, and contrasting to the original Samhain published version. But you know, it's JL Langley, it's got her name on it, so she's obviously done a lot of edits, because even just a basic sentence I read and gone and then checked in that small section. Chapter 10 is the big one that's very different, and that's a massive plot point to take out about him submitting to the Alpha. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty because it's kind of spoilers, but there is something physically, sexually that happens in the original book, and I remember thinking, woof, this is heavy for this character to have to experience, and maybe that's why it was all taken out. But honestly, I think it just takes it down a spicy level by one. It's a spicy notch down. That's not to say it's bad. It's just down a spicy notch. But yeah, after I was like, I need to get on my data. I have very limited data now, but I needed to check to see, and there are the extras. There's a lot of Sterling in this book, and I just love Sterling. Sterling is a character, Remy's younger brother, is just so good. He is so much fun, and the ending I'd forgotten the ending, and so it was like, oh, that's good, or at least maybe that was new. I don't know, I can't remember because it's been such a long time since I read this. So yeah, the ending was like, oh, made me laugh, but then to be fair, they are brothers, so maybe that was the interesting thing about the sort of werewolf aspect. But yeah, I can't remember if the ending with the bad guy, and I won't say who it is, but the bad guy in the end, if he gets the comeuppance in the same way. I'm not sure. So yeah, I don't know how much has been edited, but it's the kind of thing that just doesn't irk me. It makes me excited. It makes me want to get the original book and read literally line by line, because there would be sentences that were just rearranged slightly, or there'd be a word inserted, or there would be one sentence connected to another sentence slightly differently. It was just very small edits across the board to make it ever so slightly different to the original story that I'd read. But yeah, I definitely want to get the first two books, because I don't know if the first book that I got, if the first book in the series has been edited in the same way, because I just read it and was like, oh, okay, that was good. It seems the same. But yeah, now I'm going to have to get the first two books, and maybe I can get With Abandon, which reminds me I should go and get that. So here we have it, With Abandon, and yes, it's very different sized, trim, and thickness as well. And this one I think is the one that she published herself, because it doesn't have any Yellow Rose or Dream Spinner or Samhain or anything like that. Edited by Daisy Callahan. Cover art by Tiferet Design, and I'm wondering if that's in the other ones. This is the second edition, October 2021, copyright April 2011. So I think she must have got her copyright back from Samhain in 2011, and this book was probably published around 2008, something like that. So Samhain Publishing went out, and she got the copyright back and was able to give it out to Dream Spinner for a brief spell, and then they did not publish that like they said they were going to. I wonder if Tiferet Design is actually, there you go. So it is. I'm glad. Editor by Desi Chapman, Blue Ink Editing. Cover art, Tiferet Design. So yeah, whoever Tiferet Design did, very good job with the covers, and that she'd obviously commissioned all three done at the same time, because they're very uniform. I like them a lot. So yeah, With Abandon is the one I'm going to be reading next, but I am going to edit a few videos that I have, even if I can't upload them and I can't make thumbnails and stuff like that. I'm just gonna see if I can edit some of them. I can maybe do the haul video and another video that I filmed with my first collection as a little short. So yeah, hopefully that will get edited, so that at least as soon as I've got internet back, I can start uploading things, especially first to Patreon. So if you're interested, I do have a Patreon, but unfortunately there's not been anything uploaded for about a month, which is shocking. But before that, there was lots uploaded. Lots of Patreon exclusive stuff from abandoned vlogs. They get all my abandoned vlogs can get uploaded to Patreon. So hopefully this is not an abandoned vlog. But yeah, if it is, it's gonna be up on Patreon. But yeah, so I do need to give this one a read and see if it's as good as I remember. I've been enjoying myself so far, and it's nice to have these physical copies, but I think I will also be on the lookout for the original ones as well. This one will be a bit more tricky to find. I did see a copy for about £6 or something like that, and I was like, oh cool, but I have a copy. And now I'm like, damn, I really want to really want a copy now of them all. So yeah, this is Matt. Oh, is a page already coming out? Is that? Oh gosh, that's just come out. Huh. I should be very careful then. This isn't just a blank page, but oh, is it really badly glued? Oh no, is that what's happened? That's Amazon for you. Oh no. Well, I'll put it back in. Hopefully I'll be gentle with it. This is another reason why the old books are probably quite a good one to get. We'll see. Hopefully it's alright. But yeah, this was obviously Remy and Jake's story with a bit of Reese and Sterling, and this is Matt and Aubrey's story. And I love Aubrey. He's such a complicated little character, and Matt is just a wee cinnamon roll. And I do remember this one being really good fun. So it's gonna get read today as well. So as you can see, it's really white outside. It's all snowy and very cold. And so I was supposed to go to the post office, but I'm not entirely sure if it's open because it wasn't open at the weekend or on the Friday. So I don't know. I didn't get very far in this because I got a bit distracted with editing some videos. I filmed my whole video, and I also had a video that I filmed while I was away, and so I was editing that, and while I was editing that I was listening to something else. What was it? Danger Zone. I had an Audible book, Brooke Blaine and Ella Frank, and this is the second time I've tried an Ella Frank, and I enjoyed this one. It's only 4 hours long, so it's actually quite short, and I think there's 3 books in the series, and I think they're all about 4 hours long in the Audible format, so they're pretty short books. And as I was editing for a couple of hours, I was listening to that, and so I didn't get very far in this because you can't really read and edit at the same time. Anyway, I've got a bit of hot coffee and some cream, and I still have some mince pies because I bought some mince pies thinking maybe someone might come and visit, just in case people visit. There was some mince pies, so there was like 12. They're good until February, so it's fine. But yeah, no one came, so I have like all of those mince pies to eat. So I'm gonna have a wee mince pie and a wee hot coffee with some vegan squirty cream. That's what we call it. And maybe have a little read. I was already prepared to go out, but then as soon as I saw it, I was like, no. I did see it last night. It was like starting to snow. Yesterday I was like, hold on, I knew it was cold, but I didn't think it was that cold. Not cold enough for snow, but it is. It's cold enough for snow. And then it started to get frosty last night as well because there was clear skies, and I thought, it's gonna be really either really frosty or really cold. And I haven't checked the weather because I haven't had internet, so I didn't know it was coming. But apparently it's going to be like this up here until Wednesday, when I'm supposed to get the engineer out to look at my Wi-Fi. So we'll see. But it does mean that I have on absolutely loads of layers. I actually have 2 pairs of trousers and 3 tops and this great big fluffy purple dressing gown that my mum gave me for Christmas. So, which is ginormous, which is great because I can have so many layers on underneath. But yeah, so that means I have time to just sit and read this because I don't think I'll go out in that and have a wee bit of that. So yeah, this is my update. My update that I haven't read because I was busy doing other things. Never mind. But I did feel good that I've got these videos done. They just need to get uploaded whenever I have some Wi-Fi. So yeah, this is how I'm going to enjoy it. I might go out later, but I probably won't because it's cold. And it does look beautiful, but no, I think I'll just stay here. Anyway, I'll update you later. So it's another day, and we've had a lot of snow. It's quite thick. It's probably about 7, maybe 10 inches. It's a winter wonderland, but I haven't got too much further into my book because I got a little bit distracted by another book, which was an audiobook that I was reading. So I am still 100 pages in. There are a couple more pages who've decided to come out, so I really do want an older copy. It's pretty much exactly as I remember it. I don't think there's any differences, unlike the other 2, which I was like, that was really quick and fast, and this one seems like it's taking its time and everything is going as I remember. So yeah, I'm not sure if any edits or changes were done. I don't know. I don't have a copy of but I could always check. But yeah, it's good. It's about Matt and Aubrey, and Matt going to Georgia to go to university to study like criminology, I think, and he ends up staying with Aubrey in his apartment. For some strange reason, they end up texting each other and they enjoy each other's texts, and so they end up suggesting that he stays with him for the 4 years that he's at university. And of course, they meet and are mates, and it's not exactly what Aubrey wants. Even though Matt is exactly what he really wants. He doesn't want a male mate. Not in Georgia. Not in Georgia. So yeah, lots of funny southern things. But I do remember the baddie of this one isn't so much of a baddie as someone who's heartbroken, and we've already met him, and he just seems like a nice guy. I know he's a baddie, but he's a nice guy. The other baddie, though, is kind of a baddie. But yeah, it's been good fun so far. I love Matt. He's such a cute sweet character, and I do love Aubrey for being such a mess. Messy character that he is. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, but I did get distracted by Brooke Blaine and Ella Frank. That's the one. I'm like, which L is it? Ella Frank, who I had tried to read from before, but I had an audiobook of Danger Zone, and that was one that Catban Books had been recommending to everyone, and I was like, okay. So when it was on a 2-for-1 sale on Audible, I was like, all right, then I'll use one of my credits. So I got the first volume. So I listened to that while I was doing some editing, and then I was like, damn it, I want to read it because it ended on such a cliffhanger. I need to put a note on that. The best cliffhanger ending so far this year, definitely. Danger Zone. That was a great cliffhanger. I was like, what? I need to read the next one. So luckily it was on KU, so it didn't really cost anything. So yeah, I could read, and I have now read the whole series because it didn't take long. They're very short books. They're like 100 and something pages. So yeah, I've been distracted in the middle of reading this by reading a few others. So yeah, but it's because I'm taking my time. But look at those pages sticking out. Oh. Yeah, I definitely want to invest in the older books, if I can get hold of them for good prices. Anyway, it's super, super white. I'll show you. It's really white. Look how white it is. Everything is just so white, and it's very, very thick. Very, very thick. So, and I am going to have to go out to the post office today because I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be open, but not sure if it will be due to the snow. The schools are all closed. So, never mind. We'll see. The whole reason I'm going is because I need energy like gas and electric. We'll see. I need heating in my house. So, yeah, it's pretty thick, and I'll end up having to do some snow clearance today on the paths because although they look pretty, I do want clear paths, so I will do that probably when I come back from my trek into town. So we'll see. So it is actually another day. I'm at page 181 of With Abandon. So we've had the introduction of Carson, the guy who Aubrey works with, and Boski, the guy who is like one of the executives at the company that Aubrey's in charge of, but who also seems to have slept with Carson and is now kind of like a stalker. But he's a wolf, so he's part of the pack. And yeah, we're just getting a lot more of Matt and Aubrey's relationship, that how it's developing. And you know that something is going to happen because Aubrey is still very much denying Matt his proper position. So it's a bit of a shame. But and because I do remember what's happening. But I'm really quite surprised. It's like 180 pages. But it's like 300 and something. So there's still about 150 pages to go. But I'm not surprised because there is still a chunk of story still to be had. But I have, as I said, it's a different day. I did go out and I got my energy and everything, gas and electric, and I've been to the shops. I also had an appointment, so I had to go to that. So I'm a little bit behind where I want to be, but as I said, I'm taking my time, it's fine. What you're on is a poncho, and I love a good woolly poncho, and I got it for only £5. And it's let's see, George Asda, yay! And it's like pretty much brand new. It's really good. I love getting things from the charity shop, which is like a good bargain. So I've got a nice big woolly poncho to wear, but I also got these 3 volumes of The Infernal Devices, Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare, but art by Hugh Kyung Big. I don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, I was just in the charity shop, as I want to do, and I picked up this first volume. I spotted this one. Well, I spotted the Empress, and I was like, I've never read any of the Cassandra Clare books. I don't even know how many of these like manga adaptations were produced by Yen Press. I don't know anything about how many, because I know Cassandra Clare's like written series and series and series, and they're all kind of connected, but I've never read any of them, so I don't know anything about them. Anyway, I picked up volume 3 and went, it's a shame, it's a volume 3. There's no point in getting a volume 3, is there? And then down on the next shelf, volume 1 was there. I was like, well, volume 1's worth getting, because then you can at least start the story. And then the next shelf down was volume 2. So I was like, hold on, I can have volume 1, 2, and 3. May as well get them, because, and I didn't know this until I took them up to the till, they were only 40p each. So I got all 3 of these for £1.20, and a nice woolly poncho to keep me warm for £5. So £6.20. I think this is a bargain. Very happy about it. So yeah, if you've read any of the Cassandra Clare books, I mean, I'm gonna have to look up on Goodreads, aren't I? And I'm gonna have to look on Yen Press as well. Like, is there more? How many more volumes is there in the series? But I don't have any internet. I have no Wi-Fi, and so I will just wait and see what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna read the rest of my With Abandon. It's just nice. I'm gonna just, still cold, still all snowy, and a little bit dull. So I'm just gonna stay in the rest of the day. I've got some messages. I've got some like food and stuff, so I'm all stocked up. And so I'll probably just stay in, read. I've got, I can't really do much else without the internet, but we'll see. But this is just kind of a lazy vlog. There's not really much to show. But yeah, this was a good bargain, and this is a good bargain, and I will carry on with this and probably check in when I finished. I have now finished my read of all of these. I do like the artwork on the covers. They're good. But yeah, I did finally finish With Abandon. It is a lot thicker, and I do think it's a longer book than the others. Although not terribly much happens, except it is all Aubrey's story, really. Matt is a delightful character, and he's a super, super sweetheart. But it is really about Aubrey, Keaton's brother, coming to terms with the fact that he has these responsibilities, and he has expectations and pressure and stress that is not marrying with the fact that he is a gay man and would like to be in a relationship with a man and someone that he loves, and someone that, according to this universe, is a perfect match for him. In reading this, I really didn't see anything, or I couldn't pick up on anything that was very different, if anything was at all. So this one seems like the most accurate in terms of what I remember. This one, Without Reservations, just seemed really short. I don't think anything was that different, except I do remember there was a lot more negativity from the mother, Che's mother, towards Remy, whereas in this one it's mentioned that she was good or kind to Remy, whereas as far as I remember, she didn't like Remy either. So there was a bit of negativity towards Remy because of his whiteness. So maybe that was taken out. I don't know. But what I have discovered from reading these 3, one, it's fantastic that I have physical copies. It's fantastic that these are now available. I think you can get them digitally as well. It means that the price gouging that was going on with the physical copies from Sawain Publishing is not it's not as much as it was. I think the With Abandon versions are still a bit pricey. But I did come across one before, and I think it was like £6, and I didn't buy it, and now I kind of wish I did, because obviously that's one thing that I've noticed with this particular copy. Some of the pages have come out, and that's because it's just a KDP print on demand from Amazon, and they've not done a very a stellar job of making sure that the glue that is on the bottom there has actually gone into making sure that the pages are all stuck together properly. Whereas these ones are a little bit better, although the trim size is not. But yeah, that's the other thing as well, the trim size is not the same. So it does make me think this is perfectly fine addition to my collection, but I would still like to invest in the older copies, and I think I can get each of these two for like £5, maybe less than £5, and some of her other works as well for less than that. So I could definitely invest in some second-hand JL Langley copies that I'd be quite happy to have. But with Abandon, I'm going to have to see if I can either wait it out or try and search down a cheaper copy, because I'm not paying £40 for something I already have, even if it is now already falling apart. I'm so annoyed. The most obvious one though that is different is With Caution, and I don't know if it's because this was, what is it, Yellow Rose Publishing, if JL Langley was forced to make changes or if she herself requested to make changes, but this is a very different reading experience to what I remembered, and then so much so that I had to go out of my way to try and check with online resources to say, like, why is this the way it is? And it's been totally scrubbed of all dom sub elements, and so unfortunately it's a bit like, for me anyway, this is just my experience because I've read this story before. It's a bit like going into a family restaurant in Japan and sitting down and looking on the menu and seeing spaghetti bolognese, and looking at the picture in the menu and it's spaghetti bolognese, and then you get the dish and it looks just like the picture. It looks like spaghetti bolognese, and then you actually put a forkful into your mouth and realise that the sauce flavouring is not what you would expect. It's watery and sweet, overly sweet. And unfortunately, that's the experience of every foreign person who goes into a family restaurant and eats the spaghetti bolognese. So never order the spaghetti bolognese in Japan. There are other dishes that are Western and that are very similar, but never do the spaghetti bolognese, because you put that forkful in, you're like, why does this taste like sugar? And why is it watery? Why is there no depth of flavour? There's no rich tomato sauce. There's no salts and savoury flavour. There's no herbs. There's nothing. There's no... All it is watery, watered down and overly sweet. And that's what this is. It's watered down and overly sweet. And it wasn't like that when I read the book originally. It was far from it. There was higher stakes. I thought that... I'm just going to ruin it for you guys. I thought the guy died at the end. I thought, not the brother, but the dad. I thought he was killed at the end. I thought that's how it ended. I thought there was a few other things happening that didn't happen in this one. It's their relationship between Remy and Jake is overly sweet because it's lacking that consequence of what Remy has repressed, which is his sexuality and also his preference in terms of how he wants to be treated. Because he's not like that, because he's been forced to be the heterosexual, very masculine man's man that his father has been beating into him since he was a child. And that's not who he is, or at least that's not who he was in the previous incarnation that this book was. So as a whole series, I'm really glad I read it, but it's a completely different reading experience to what I experienced before. So yeah, 100% I want an old copy of With Caution. I definitely want an old copy of Without Reservations. And I want an old copy of this because this one's fallen apart. But I love the new artwork. I love that JL Langley made this available, because this was one that a lot of people liked and a lot of people loved. and a lot of people have been absolutely desperate for the next book in the series, which is supposed to be Without Secrets, coming soon, which is Remy's younger brother Sterling and Rhys. And that was another thing with Caution. There was a whole conversation. That was the other thing that was missing. There was a whole conversation about how to pronounce Rhys's name. Was it Rhys, or was it Rhys, or was it? And they said, oh, it's pronounced like this because he's supposed to be from a half Scottish, half. It's not Apache. It's, I can't remember. They had the whole conversation about his ethnicity and why he was the way he was and other things like that. And there was a whole thing with him and Sterling, because Sterling's only a kid still, and how he reacted to him. There was a whole thing about their relationship that felt missing. And then at the end, you get the whole thing about what it is that's been going on. You're like, oh, ah. But that was missing from this. This is definitely a watered down, sweeter version of the original book. And I would like my proper spaghetti bolognese, please. I want my flavour. I want this flavour. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to read this. It was a good experience. I'm glad I've done this. I've got scone and jam and a cup of tea. And I'm going to get ready for my next read, which is a buddy read with Katie. So I don't have all of the volumes yet, though. I'm waiting on my volume 4 to come. Anyway, this is it. This is my read. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, I'd like to know what other people think of JL Langley's work, and if we can, fingers crossed, ever get something more from her. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely am on the. I'm glad I paid for these, but I will also be on the lookout for secondhand copies. That's just how I am. I'm gonna give me it all. I want more. I want it all. And I would probably end up, if I do end up getting them, I will probably end up doing a reread maybe next year or the year after with the old copies and compare and contrast, because that's just the kind of person I am. I love that. Comparing and contrasting things. Yeah. That's it. Just lights up my soul that there's a little bit of a difference between these and the other ones, but also at the same time I'm a little bit disappointed that there is. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!